So at this stage, I think it's fitting to say that Gotham Knights and Warner Bros. Games Montreal seem to have found their audience. And in my opinion, I think they're going the direction of doubling down on what it is that they're capable of doing with this particular franchise, universe, and even video game. One thing a lot of people don't necessarily pay a lot of attention to is how video games are managed after they are released. Usually, game companies will provide support. Sometimes they'll provide more content, or at least they'll continue to keep their game relevant with their core audiences in order for them to piggyback off of that and possibly market their next game. Within that studio, we've been seeing hints of hirings that kind of lead us to think that they're going on with another project at this time. But at the same time, with what we got to see yesterday, that's basically a post that says that, the bad guys are gathering again. I think it clues us into what their intentions are basically about this game and this franchise. Now, when they made the post, it did not go without any pushback. There are people who are pretty much, around, talking about different aspects of the game. There's a comment here. Someone said, learn from Square Enix's Guardian of the Galaxy. It's the only good example of a superhero game beside Marvel's Spider-Man. Now, this is a hot take. A lot of people jumped in here and said, oh, I can't believe you didn't mention Arkham and so on and so forth. But I don't necessarily think that that is my intent regarding, where this person's position is. You can already tell that this person's position is more of the side of, oh, well, Gotham Knights is not good and so on and so forth. Here's the thing. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy made a Guardians of the Galaxy game. The problem is they did not necessarily sell the game very well because the game was basically poisoned by the Avengers, perception. A lot of people were looking at that game when they saw Guardians of the Galaxy, not knowing that that game was going to be a very different game, a single player game, and so on and so forth. Now, for those who enjoyed that game, I can say, that you are fortunate. I did not necessarily enjoy that, game. I played only about 10 hours and I was done, just because of the way the game was set up. Just too much talking, in my opinion. I just want to play a game. I like the fact that, you can get a skip button, but again, being able to also control just only Star-Lord and not be able to control all the other characters, to me, did not necessarily bode well. I preferred, the fact that Gotham Knights was able to allow for me to control all four players and play them, and they were different. So I can see how these differences kind of resonate with all of us if we're actually looking towards, the different video games. But nonetheless, I think this is pretty cool. I think this is a very fortunate incident because Gotham Knights kind of struck at the right time, in my opinion. I think it just came out just at the time that, you would want for your game to come out before Ragnarok was able to come in and steal the hearts of a lot of people. Did not necessarily enjoy Ragnarok, by the way. It just was not a game for me. I just thought, maybe they've already reached their peak in terms of, making these God of War games and so on and so forth. In my opinion, nonetheless, I think we have to go into it looking at, okay, what is the content piece going to look like and how are the developers going to pretty much go ahead and structure it? Because this is a very important thing as to how you can basically go ahead and, do video games like this, or how you can continue content, and why it is actually, necessary, in my opinion, that, this is something that we continue to go ahead and as fans support. Because one thing that we've seen is a lot of people have talked about the Arkham games. They've talked about how this game is, supposedly not like Arkham and so on and so forth, but not realizing that a lot of what people want in a superhero game being developed by a publisher or being put out by a publisher is something that Gotham Knights has been able to deliver. Because if you think about it, the developers of the Arkham games are nowhere to be found making another Arkham game. In fact, the reality is much more tougher to swallow because they're making a shooter right now, which is wild. Their head of the studios, the founders of the studios, have left, which is even way more wild. And the game has received a significant number of delays, which is absolutely bonkers. So everything and anything that anybody might be trying to seek out in regard to, say, a DC superhero game is out there. And I think a lot of people are failing to match their comparisons properly, especially the part of saying, Gotham Knights is not an Arkham game. Gotham Knights is not even a Batman game. Because if you kind of think about it, that's probably where people are looking at all of this from. They're looking at the Arkham games and saying, oh man, Gotham Knights should be like this and be like that, when in reality, it doesn't have to do any of that. All it has to do is pretty much do what it came to do, which is make a unique video game, carry an RPG structure into a superhero game, which is something that hasn't been done in a very long time and done at this scale ever that I've seen. And in my opinion, I think it was a job well done. Everybody else can argue about that, but many of those people that may argue have been over here pretty much dismantling their argument as just a matter of preference. Many people don't like RPGs in superhero games, but that's just a personal preference. You don't like pineapple pizza, I don't like it too. But still, it doesn't mean that there are not people who like it. And I think that's what Gotham Knights is doing. I think the developers have realized that this is their market segment and are going to continue to go for it. So I commend the devs. I hope that they bring out the content pretty soon. I hope it's something significant. If it's not necessarily something that is going to be too, knock off your socksy, that's fine. As long as they continue to do this, this is going to give them goodwill with their community, with their audiences, to be able to go in for this game. Because you know that a lot of the critics didn't play this game, right? And a lot of the ones that did say they played the game, they didn't play the game and didn't represent the game in a proper light, because they mostly just talked about the game from a preference of saying, oh, well, I don't like this, therefore it's a bad game. Or they made up stuff, like my videos have shown, about things that were in the game, saying they were not in the game. And, behold, these guys basically lied. And these are people who have big audiences. So the perception, in my opinion, I've been doing cleanup work because most of our, gaming scene trusts these people. And I think that's a big sad case, because if you think about it, one of the challenges in regard to video game in today's day and age is a lot of people trust people who actually play these games and give them kind of their opinions, which, yes, it could be valuable in some sense. But at the end of the day, you really have to make the judgment for yourself. So thankfully, those of us who here resonate with the game, we've made a judgment based on what it is that we've played. Some of us have decided the game is not for us. Some of us have decided that, man, we would like to see more content. So shout out to the devs for going ahead and tease this. And those who probably don't think that Gotham Knights is a good game, hey, that is your opinion. We recommend that you leave the game alone. It will serve everybody well. It will give you better good night's sleep, and it will help us to enjoy the game much more without having to deal with the interference that you guys have. So thanks for watching this video. Appreciate you guys this time and audience. Chat with me in the comment section, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.